喂喂， Yeah. Very, very. Definitely much less to so that's why it needs to be done right. However, we go back to the update of the front space. No. Oh, yeah. That's lately. Sometimes you use the floor. It's a full. And if you use the plastic, it's changing the way they're reacting, so they can see the things. People say, my neighbor, like. Sit or stand? The clicker, yeah. Do you want to do? Yeah, I don't mind standing. What do you think is the best way? Do you want to, prefer not to hold, or do you want to?
Just both stand.
Yeah, so is it all right? Okay,
It's fine.
how are you?
All right, maybe we take the chairs away then.
Okay.
Just in case.
Yeah.
You're tired.
To go
Yeah.
for it. Yeah. Perfect.
Up, down.
Yep. Thank you. Perfect, thank you.
So we don't need these, right? We can just use the.
喂，测试。
We can use the,
Yeah. Email test it.
okay. Test. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Okay. We'll just stand. That's good.
Hello，大家可以坐会的，然后。
Great. Welcome. Good to see everyone. Thank you for being here on this Sunday afternoon. Okay. Thank you. Is the live stream, can they hear? Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm gonna try to not make too much of a noise. Good to see you. I'm Bruce Delmonico, Assistant Dean for Admissions at the Yale School of Management.
I'm Laurel Rodman, also Assistant Dean for Admissions at the Yale School of Management and at Yale College and Yale SOM as well.
So thank you again for being here. The purpose of our session today, we would love to share a little bit more about Yale SOM, the mission, the values, a little bit about what makes the community so special, and then obviously have time for any of your questions and share more information beyond that. I'd love to, I'm in the MBA program. Laurel is in both the MBA and the asset management program. So this session will talk mostly about the MBA program. And then there will be another session later this afternoon about asset management for those who are interested. But just to kick things off, when we talk about the Yale School of Management, make sure, there we go. We start with a mission to educate leaders for business and society. This was the founding mission of the institution, and it really animates and informs just about everything that happens at the school. It's means many different things. But it's a broad multi-sector mission, and we really do, among other things, we really do aspire for our graduates to have impact, not just in the private sector, but the public and nonprofit sectors as well. And you'll see, if you look at our alumni network, that is very much the case. When you come to Yale as a student, that mission will influence your experience in a few different ways. And we want to talk about three key ways in which the mission will inform and influence your experience as a Yale SOM student. I think
Wrong way though.
I'm going the wrong way. There we go, smooth.
Thanks, Bruce. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is our integration with the broader Yale University community. So when you join the Yale School of Management, you're truly joining the broader Yale University community and all the opportunities and privileges that come with that. And that takes place both inside and outside the classroom. So inside the classroom, in your second year of your MBA studies, where you'll take elective courses, you can take those courses in any classroom, in any quantity throughout the entire university. So if you have an interest in learning another language, you can take language courses at Yale College. If you have an interest in health and biotech, you can take courses at the at the Yale School of Public Health, or if you have an interest in sustainability, you have access to the Yale School of the Environment. So all of that is open to you to design your own curriculum that incorporates many, many different perspectives and disciplines throughout the university. We also have, I believe now, 10 joint degree programs. So you're actually able to pursue a program with the Yale School of Management and one of the partner schools, whether it's the law school, and the School of Public Health, the Environment, our Jackson Institute for, Jackson School, which focuses on global affairs. And even if you are not one of those joint degree students, it's incredibly valuable for you to be sitting next to one of them in your classrooms, because they're bringing the perspective of someone who's studying a different subject matter really, really deeply, even to your management courses. But your access to the university expands beyond just the classroom. You have an opportunity to collaborate and experience and learn and socialize with students and faculty from across the university. That could be through our SCI Center for Innovative Thinking at Yale, our entrepreneurial hub for the entire university. So if you're interested in starting a business during the time you're at Yale, you can get connected with different students and faculty and members of the community from any part of Yale through the SCI City Center. Our students participate in cross collaboration with students from other schools on things like the Yale Healthcare Conference. So that's actually the largest student-run conference throughout all of Yale, and it's a collaboration between the Yale School of Management, the medical school, and the School of Public Health. So lots of opportunities and just more social opportunities to engage with people from across the university. And again, that feeds back into our mission, because we believe a business education needs to be multidisciplinary, and there's so much you can learn within the confines of the Yale School of Management and the sorts of courses and faculty research that we do there. But we have an entire university at our fingertips that we're also able to leverage to give you a really complete and comprehensive business education. The second sort of major theme I'll touch upon that draws back to our mission is our distinctively global nature. So we believe in order to be a leader for business and society, you need to have a truly global perspective and be able to think about business and society in a truly global way. And the way in which we do this, so many business schools have some sort of global component, and often it takes the form of a partnership with a university or an entity abroad. We actually took this a step further and established what we call the Global Network for Advanced Management. And this is a network partnership of currently 33 top business schools across the globe. And what that does is it gives you access to students, faculty, and staff in a range of different business hubs. And the global network really serves as the fuel for what we call our options for the global studies requirement. So as part of your Yale SOM experience, you'll have at least one deep global engagement. And several of the options for that engagement leverages the global network schools within it. So just a few examples of what this could look like. The international experience courses are a half semester long course that are in conjunction with a faculty member that culminates in a trip to an international business hub where you'll meet with business leaders, governmental leaders, and really get immersed in that particular geography and culture. Our global network weeks are through our global network schools. So these are week-long learning experiences that take place a couple of times a year. In fact, we just had our fall global network week, and probably maybe about a third of the global network schools will host a week in any given segment of the year. And those are open to business school students throughout the global network. So you may be sitting in a classroom in one of our global network schools that we just visited, actually, it was Fudan. So you may be sitting in a classroom in Fudan with a couple of other Yale students, but primarily students from across the globe, and giving you an opportunity to learn again from a really global set of individuals. We have experiential options. Our global social entrepreneurship course is an option to put some of your management skills into practice in more of a consulting format. So lots of different ways in which to fulfill this requirement. I always laugh a little bit to call it a requirement. I actually think it's one of our students' favorite aspects of the program. But we, in fact, give each of our students a global studies account to fund this requirement. So Lots of our students will go abroad at least one, if not more times during their SOM education. I'll hand it back over to you.
And I just want to talk about the last thing that, that we wanted to discuss that I feel is distinctive about the Yale SOM experience, and that really kind of stems from the mission, which is our integrated curriculum. You'll get a sense of theme that we've been, that's common among the things we're talking about, our integration, interdisciplinary, and working across functions and across roles. And so our curriculum is actually another example of that. And we feel it is something that really helps educate our students to be uniquely effective leaders for the 21st century. So you might know about this already, but unlike most traditional MBA curricula, which are organized by functions and are kind of structured by discrete silos like finance and marketing and operations, the MBA curriculum at Yale is actually organized much differently. It's organized by organizational perspectives. And the idea is that to be an effective leader now, you need to really have a much better picture, sense of the big picture, much broader perspective than you did, say, 50 or 60 years ago when most MBA curricula were first introduced. So most other schools are teaching using that traditional method. We are teaching a lot of the same concepts. So you will still be learning, discounted cash flow analysis and weighted average cost of capital and those types of things. But you will understand the context in which those are used, and sometimes the different ways in which those are used in different contexts, and looking at the stakeholders that you need to engage as a leader to be effective. So again, the idea is that for this to be much more multidisciplinary, much more integrated than traditional MBA curricula. And the idea is for you to then be able to be a much more effective leader after you graduate, because you can make those connections that others won't be able to. So just to give a sense of how this works, one example we talk about is sourcing and managing funds, which is essentially the CFO function. That's one of the stakeholder perspectives that you will learn in the core curriculum at Yale. And it's not just finance. Obviously, the CFO needs to know finance, but you also will learn about strategy, operations, accounting, other disciplines that are relevant to be an effective CFO beyond just the finance piece. And again, this will allow you to have much more impact after you graduate, because you see how the connections that you need to make across these different functions. Another example we sometimes give is, or that I sometimes give at least, is the competitor, which is essentially the equivalent of a marketing class in other schools, but instead of just marketing, you're learning in HR, operations, finance, and other disciplines that are relevant to be effective in that role. So did I say competitor? I meant customer. Excuse me. Apologize. So the customer is sort of analogous to the marketing role. Couple of quick things about the organizational perspectives class. Because it's interdisciplinary, you're going to be learning concepts that are outside of strict business kind of material. So you'll be learning not just business concepts, but also psychology, sociology, political science, law, the environment, other disciplines that are relevant to your work in whatever it is you end up going into. And you will, as a result, you will be seeing not just SOM faculty members, but faculty members from other parts of Yale University. So similar to the idea that you can take electives outside of SOM, and you will have students from other parts of the university in your SOM classes, faculty will also be in your SOM classes from outside other parts of the university. So I think that's an important part of the experience as well. I want to touch on just briefly, many of you who are here have already graduated from your undergraduate institution and are in the workplace now. We do have some SOM students who apply to the school from their undergraduate experience. So in the last year of undergraduate, to join us immediately, you typically graduate in the spring, join us immediately in the fall. This is called our Silver Scholars Program. So if you are in undergraduate still and are thinking about an MBA, this is one path that can accelerate that journey. So you would, again, some other schools in the US have what's called a deferred admission program, where you apply in your final year of undergraduate, work for a few years, and then begin your MBA. This is different. This is starting immediately after you graduate from your undergraduate. You do your first year, our core curriculum in the MBA, You then have an extended 1-year professional experience. It could be extended beyond that, 1 to 5 years. And then you would come back after that for your second year of the MBA, which was your electives. And as Laurel said, you're taking those these entire second year's electives. You take that anywhere at the university. The idea is to accelerate your MBA path. You can graduate in anywhere from sort of 3+ years, or as few as 3 years, with your MBA going through the Silver Scholars Program. So I just wanted to mention that as a unique feature of the Yale SOM MBA program. I'll hand it back again.
Great. So we'd be remiss to talk about the Yale SOM experience without talking about the community. So much of what we're focused on up until now is about your classroom experience, but there's so much that happens outside of that classroom as well. There are so many rich traditions and opportunities throughout the school year to engage with your classmates in different ways, and even beyond the time that you're at SOM. So I've been able to appreciate, as an alumna of the school, how close-knit and powerful that network is, even after the time that you've graduated. These are lifelong friends that you'll make during your time at SOM, and there's so many traditions to pick from. But one that we were actually just talking about recently, given the time of year, is a tradition that developed after the time I was a student, but I almost wish was there when I was a student. The American holiday of Thanksgiving is coming up later in November. And so because we have so many students coming from all over the world, many who may not celebrate Thanksgiving in their own in their own home countries, we've developed a tradition known as Friendsgiving. So it's an opportunity for anyone in the school to come and participate in a traditional Thanksgiving dinner with their new Yale SOM friends. And it's just really a lovely tradition to see the entire school sort of laid out with these long tables, and everyone sort of eating and drinking and enjoying themselves together. It's a really kind of special and I think very memorable. And there's all kinds of traditions built into the experience throughout the year. So just a little bit about who is the Yale SOM MBA class. So this is the most recent class that we welcomed this fall, 367 students, which is actually our biggest class to date. And typically our class is around 350 students. And as you can see, the incoming class was 44% women, 41% international students. That's actually a really high percentage for most US business schools. We're really proud of our international community and what that perspective brings to the community as a whole. 15% underrepresented students of color for US students. And then access is a really important concept for us as well. You'll see we had 17% of our class were the first in their family to go to college. And so opening up that Yale experience to a broad array of students is very important to us. Mentioned, we have joint degree programs with a variety of different schools within Yale. We had 23 of those students in our cohort last year, 24 Silver Scholars. So that's the program that Bruce mentioned for students coming directly from college, 19 US military, and so on. And you can also see just some, gives a sense of the academic profile for the class as well. All right, I'm pass it back over to Bruce.
Yeah, happy to talk a little bit about the application process. I assume those of you who are here are interested in applying either this cycle or in the future. We have some who've already applied, so you can tune out and just ignore this next section. You've already done this part. But for those of you who are thinking about applying, I wanted to talk a little bit about the application process. And obviously, we have just a couple more slides, and then we'll open up for questions. But those, Laurel and I are in admissions. When we're looking at who to bring into the community at Yale, broadly speaking, we're looking at 3 things: your academic preparation for the program, your professional potential, and your community contribution, what you will bring to our community, and then your whatever community you join afterwards, and certainly as an alumnus or alumna. So gauging your academic preparation, we are looking, at your, these are things that other schools obviously are looking at as well: your transcripts and your test scores, GMAT or GRE. We look at those in combination, and they're also informed by one of our elements that happens after you hit the submit button, which is the behavioral assessment, which we can talk more about. But that is an instrument we've developed with ETS. They're the organization that runs the GRE. We've worked with them to adapt this assessment to inform our assessment of your evaluation of your academic preparation for the program. So it's not
an EQ or a soft skills assessment. It really works with your transcripts, your academic record, and your test scores to give us a sense of your academic preparation. We could talk more about it, but it's a forced choice test. It's 130 paired statements where you go through, and there are 2 statements about a person, and you choose which one is most like you. And you go through those quickly. It takes about 20 minutes after you submit the application. I know you're nodding, all 3 of you went through that, hopefully it was okay. It's a little bit different than what other schools might have, but we use it only in limited circumstances where someone has a maybe more modest academic profile, their grades and test scores are a little more modest, and it can give us more comfort in their ability to perform in the classroom. So it allows us to actually expand the scope of the pool that we're able to consider for admission. So that's the first piece, is academic preparation, just to make sure, everybody's not going to be first in their class, but we want to make sure everybody's able to keep up and be effective in the classroom. We're also measuring your professional potential, so your potential to have professional impact after you graduate. And we look at your resume, actually, obviously what you've done beforehand, your letters of recommendation. So not just what you've said about what you plan to do and how you perform, but how others are perceiving you. And I think to some degree, the video questions, which I'll talk about in a second, but we're really looking to see that to the extent you have gained experience, obviously we have our sober scholars who don't have full-time professional experience, but to the extent you've gained experience, that you've performed at a high level. We're actually less interested in the number of years you've been working or the field you've been working in. We want that diverse background of those across those dimensions, but really that you've been performing at a high level, that you have you've been that we're bringing people who have a level of excellence in what they've been doing. And then the last thing is the community contribution. We want to get a sense of how you will be as a community member. As Laurel said, we're on the smaller side, 367 for the current first-year class. It's typically, in the 340s or so. So smaller than many other top MBA programs in the US, intentionally so. What that means, the size, I think, plus the mission means we bring in students come here who really want to be engaged, want to contribute, want to be part of the community. And so, and you'll find that no one at SOM is anonymous. Everybody's doing something. Everyone's leading a club or being involved, doing something in the New Haven community. And so getting a sense that you have that inclination, that habit of engagement that we feel will translate well to us at the school and then beyond as an alumnus or alumna. And we look at, throughout your application, all the different elements, including, your sort of activities and other things that aren't on this slide to gauge that. I would also say that I mentioned the behavioral assessment. One other somewhat unique feature of our application are the video questions. Those happen after you submit your application. You have a few days along with the behavioral assessment to complete the video questions. Those are 2 questions we've pre-recorded. We have a pool of questions. You'll randomly get 2 of them that you would then answer in real time using a webcam, and that's recorded and added to your file for our review. We use it with as we say, a light touch. It's used in part to gauge English language ability. So we don't require the TOEFL, we don't require the IELTS or any other formal English language test, which is expensive and time consuming. Instead, we have the video questions, and then after that, the interview. The video questions don't take the place of the interview for us to be able to measure that, so that it's a much simpler, more straightforward way for us to do that. Less of a burden on you all, less of a burden on us to have to manage. So that happens after the application submission, and then, as I said, it does not take the place of the interview. The next step is the interview that happens throughout the round by invitation of the admissions committee. If you are thinking about applying, we are in the middle of our round 1 now, the first deadline. Round 2 is the next one and coming up in January of 2026. And then we have our 3rd application round in April. And what I would say, we could talk more about the timing, but the general advice we give is apply when you have your strongest application prepared. You don't have to rush to apply by January. If you're ready by January, that's great. That's our biggest round. That's when most people apply. But if you're not ready by January, you can wait until April if you need time to take a test or get a recommendation or gain more work experience, whatever that is. So that's a little bit about the application process. And I think I'll hand it back over. And I'm happy to take questions afterwards about that.
We can pause for questions right after this. So this is my little plug for the program that you're not here necessarily to talk about today, but I welcome you to learn more about. So our Master's in Asset Management program is relatively new. An MBA you could think of as a generalized degree. You're learning broad-based business and management leadership content. The Master's in Asset Management is a specialized master's degree with a real specific focus on the field of asset management and investments. I'm going to be hosting a separate session today from 4 to 5, which you're welcome to stay for if you'd like to learn more about. I would just ask if you haven't signed up already, if you could just go back to the front desk and sign up for that event in particular so we can stay in touch afterwards. But just a few words about the asset management program. It's very much tied to our mission, just like our MBA program. The founders of the program were the late David Swenson, who was the longtime chief investments officer for the Yale Endowment and developer of what's known as the Yale model of endowment management, which really informs how most universities manage their endowment, as well as our distinguished finance professor, Toby Moskowitz. And the two of them really believe that asset management is a field where, as they said, you can do well and do good. So it's an area in which enormous wealth can be generated, but that wealth can also be leveraged towards a positive impact for business and society. So that was really the foundation for this program. It's a one-year program. It's quantitatively intense and really focused on combining the best of academic theory and practice. So the core courses in the curriculum were established specifically for this program, very focused on the investment space, and those are primarily taught by our finance faculty. And then the elective courses, many of them bring in industry practitioners, so people who are using these concepts in their day-to-day jobs. So again, blending the best of academic theory and industry practice. It is a STEM designated program, and should mention also our entire MBA program is STEM designated. And so giving you potentially an option to extend your work horizon if you're looking to work in the US after graduating from your degree. And I should mention there's a joint degree option for the MBA and the asset management program. So you can actually earn both of those degrees in the space of 2 years. You would spend your first year in the MBA core that Bruce walked you through with the organizational perspectives courses, and then you would spend your entire elective year, that second year, in the asset management program, completing both the core and elective aspects of that course. And then you graduate with 2 degrees in that period of 2 years. So again, happy to talk more about that individually after this, or you're welcome to join our event from 4 to 5 here today. So with that,
Yeah.
I think we'll open it up to questions. And should we maybe have a seat
Yeah,
for
that's
that
it.
part of it so it's less formal?
And before we do that, I do just want to thank, it's wonderful to be here in Beijing. I haven't been since 2019, so it's been a long time since I've been back. And I think this is your first time. So we're thrilled and so thankful for the Yale Center for hosting us, CU and others, to host us here at this beautiful space. We were actually previously just coming from Shanghai and Hong Kong before that, and had a wonderful trip throughout those cities to meet prospective students and current applicants. So it's wonderful to be here, and we do appreciate the hospitality.
Yeah.
And happy to answer questions.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Oh, yes. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing the really enriched information for the admission. I want to ask, as you mentioned, we have applicant have opportunity to apply 2 degree and finish in 2 years. How you gonna Yale take the tuition fees just 2 years differently or altogether?
It's a very technical question to just start with. I mean, the tuition is the equivalent whether you pursue just the standalone MBA program or if you do the MBA and the asset management program. So it's a very good deal for you as a student. And we value enough having those students in our community that we are essentially willing to forego the year of tuition that doing the 2 programs separately would give. So your tuition goes to Yale SOM for both of those years, but it's no more expensive to do the 2 degrees than just to do the 1 MBA.
Good to know. Quickly follow-up question for the career support. I would like to learn more about your career support in the Yale Commission career support team, like especially for people with many years experience. For example, if a person from the hedge fund, they have many years in quant experience, but the people have some experience they want to transfer to investment banking or like private equity. Does Yale's career support team provide such support to help them take this career transition step by step?
Yeah, I can start with that. So we very much. So we have a full service career development office that works with you really from before you start with the program and then in orientation and throughout your time, and even as an alumnus or alumna. So our career development office is available to alumni throughout their careers. You can use them for if you're making a transition or if you're looking to hire Yale talent. The career development office, CDO as we call it, is always available to you. But there's a full service career development office that works with you. They have a full curriculum to do skill building. You'll start with assessments, skill building, career search strategies. Companies will come to campus, and then some virtual recruiting as well. And the transition from a technical hedge fund to iBanking or PE is not an uncommon one. After consulting finance broadly, investment banking specifically is the most common destination for Yale SOM graduates. So that's a path that is very well established.
Yeah, and we should say about 75% of students coming into our business school program are looking to make some kind of pivot. So you're not alone. The majority of people are looking to transition, whether it's to a different geography, a different industry, a different function. Versus, the remaining 25% are looking to sort of elevate within the field that they're in. So you're not alone. And that's what the career office is there for, to help you navigate all the resources that are available to you, including the Yale network. I think that's one of the most sort of powerful resources that you have available to you are the many students who have come before you and are now looking to give back to their community and connect with you, whether it's informally through coffee chats or more formally for a job opportunity. And that's both the Yale SOM network and the university network larger. One other thing I should mention, which I realized I didn't talk about when we were talking about our community before, are our sort of extensive network of student clubs. So your peers are there to support you as well. And those clubs span a lot of different functions. Some of them are affinity-based, so geographic or different aspects of your identity. It could be interest-based, like food and wine or snowboarding, but many of them are professional clubs. And so, the interests that you're sharing would probably land within the finance club. There's a PEVC club specifically. And so you get a lot of support from, your fellow students and the second years as well, who have gone through the experience of internship recruiting.
Thank you. Last question. Back to the PowerPoint slideshow. You have the student profile data, but one point I think I really want to get to more detail is about the student age range, like from like 20 to 40 or 30 something.
Yeah. And I think your last question referenced someone with more experience. I mean, we in admissions, I would start with admissions, and then career development works with the full range of students who again, some are silver scholars coming directly from undergraduate, some have 10 or more years of experience. So there's a broad range. The average would be, I think, between 4 and 5 years of work experience. But again, I think the mid 80% is probably 2 to 7 or so. But then it's kind of a bell curve. Then the tails go out to silver scholars with no years of experience, and then 10 plus. And it's like that, just not because we are kind of forcing any sort of curve, but because that's when people are applying. But students from of all levels of experience are supported, and certainly in admissions, we welcome applicants who are either earlier in the career or a little farther along. What we tend to say is, what I tend to say, at least, it's the same question that we're asking is, why do you want an MBA and why now? And it's just your answer might be a little bit different depending on where you are in your career and what you see as the proper jumping off point to the MBA.
Other questions?
Yeah.
Yep. Do we
sorry.
want to be mindful of our live stream?
Thank you for sharing. So I have one question for Silver Scholar program. That is, for international Silver Scholar, will Yale provide US visa to work as a full-time professional during the gap years? And another question is that if the Silver Scholar would like to do a master, for example, of asset management, then could they do that during the gap years, or they need to do it in the second year when they return? Yeah,
That's a
thank you.
good question. So, I'll say first, I'm definitely not an expert in visas. So someone with more knowledge than me could give you a more detailed answer. But essentially within the Silver Scholars program, using something called CPT or curricular practical training, you would be able to work in the US in the period between your undergraduate, or sorry, in between your first academic year and second year. I do think that is time limited, however, though. So as a Silver Scholar, you can take up to 5 years in between the two. But I believe only one, or probably, I don't remember the exact number of months, but there's a limit to how much of that time can be in the US. So you could either decide to take that time working in the US and then come back after 1 year of work for your second academic year, or you could go back to your home geography or another place where you're work authorized and extend that professional experience time. But there is a limit to the time in between the two program years where you could work in the US. And I believe it's about a year. In terms of the combined Silver Scholar and asset management joint degree, it would work the exact same way as the standard Silver Scholar program, so that the asset management degree would take place in your second academic year. So that wouldn't be considered your kind of gap year because it's not professional experience, and we really want you to gain that professional exposure. But you would come back, and that second year of electives would be spent in the asset management program.
I just haven't got this. So, good afternoon. Thank you for your presentation. And actually, I'm a musician, so I want to apply for Yale school in music. But I also very interested in business management, and I think it's also can enhance my music career development. So, my question is, if there are any opportunities I can take the business management course in Yale, whatever as the optional class or as my second major, and if it's possible, what is the format of the course? Thanks.
So if I understand, so in terms of the in addition to business management, sort of the format of the curriculum outside of the business courses?
Yeah, I just want to know, for example, if I'm a music scholar in
Yeah.
Yale School in Music,
Yeah.
if I have opportunity to attend a course in
Yeah.
Yale School of Management.
Yeah. I think that, so I think, oh, sorry, I can.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so first of all, that's fantastic. And we do have MBA alumni who are very involved in arts management generally in music. One of our alumni used to run Lincoln Center, for example, in New York. Another has run the Metropolitan Museum, and so the Philadelphia Museum. So lots of our graduates have gone into arts management and even in music specifically. So you can do a joint, is a joint degree. Is that one of the joint, not music school?
Music. I think that would take two things come to mind. If
Yep.
you're interested in pursuing the full MBA degree, just like we talked about with pretty much any area of Yale that you would want to study, and you could potentially take classes at the Yale School of Music. In addition to, as you said, there's an interest in arts management. I believe we have coursework within that, within the Yale School of Management as well. But through your elective courses, you could take courses at the Yale School of Music. The reverse is, if you were at the Yale School of Music, I'm certainly not an expert in their degree requirements, but I know that the Yale School of Management has coursework open to members of the entire university.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the core curriculum that Bruce shared. Those are specifically for our MBA students, but we have foundational business courses that are available to people pursuing degrees in other parts of the university, as well as our elective courses. So you would have opportunity to take coursework at the Yale School of Management, most likely. It just wouldn't be in the same kind of core curriculum structure that Bruce discussed.
And I have a follow-up question actually for you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember because I know, for example, some schools, public health has a healthcare management track where students of public health take management classes, but it's not a joint degree. Drama has the theater management track where they take management classes as theater students, but not the joint degree. Do you know, does music have any sort of fixed? I'm not aware of it, or if it's just
I
more
don't know of.
more individual classes you would take on the management side. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So, hi, so I have two questions. First is about silver scholars as well. So, because I feel like the other deferred MBA programs, you will also look at sort of what jobs the student goes into for that like business piece. So how do you evaluate like a current graduate's business piece in addition to like the academic piece for the silver scholars program? And the second one is about the asset management masters. What's kind of the average years of like work experience people have before they come in? And if I had a more sort of like arts, poli sci background, but I'm looking to pivot more into like, I get asset management where like more quant, do you have to have taken like a lot of quantitative courses before to be eligible for this? Thank you.
Do you want to take the silver scholars question and I can take asset
Happy
management?
to start with that. So in terms of silver scholars, and please, you are much more the expert on silver scholars, but when we're looking at silver scholars, obviously, as you say, there's no full-time work experience, but we are looking for getting a sense of your professional potential through whatever internships you've had and whatever activities you've had as an undergraduate. So it doesn't have to be formal paid experience. It could be clubs or other activities you're part of. Again, we're looking at that sort of habit of leadership, the disposition towards leadership that you can display in your academic experience and also in your internships. And so that's what we're trying to tease out from silver scholars. And obviously your recommenders are speaking to that. And that's why we have for silver scholars, one academic and one professional. And we try to get at a little bit, whatever you've gained so far in terms of experience, what we can learn from your kind of inclination towards leadership there.
So the follow-up is like whatever job offers you get post-graduation doesn't really matter. It's not really considering, and you'd be giving up that to go to MBA anyways, I guess.
Yeah, and I apologize if I answered the wrong. So we do, if you have a job offer for post-undergraduate, we actually can work with you because one of the founder of Silver Scholars is a strategy professor at the school named Barry Nailbuff, and he teaches a negotiations class. And you actually get a little bit, because we can work with you to kind of figure out how maybe to take the job offer and make that your 1 year professional experience. That often happens. You can negotiate to have that deferred until and so have that waiting for you. Are there other ways to do it? We also sometimes you can delay the start of Silver Scholars for the professional experience. So there are ways to kind of structure it that when we have some flexibility there. So having that job offer is great, and we know we have lots of the Silver Scholars are fantastic candidates, and they often have other options available to them, and so we can work with you to figure out what the right sequencing of that is.
And just to answer the sort of asset management portion of your question. So it is an early career program, and we define that as early to your asset management career. So we wouldn't prevent someone who has deeper experience and wants to make a pivot from joining. But the majority of students who apply to the program and who ultimately pursue the program are early career. So in our most recent incoming class, 60% were coming directly from either undergrad or a master's program that was consecutive or 1 year after their undergraduate program. And the majority of the remainder had 0 to 2 years of work experience thereafter. So it's definitely an early career program, and in some ways similar to the Silver Scholars program. We in fact do have lots of candidates who apply to both. In terms of your quantitative exposure, it is a highly quantitative program, and there are a number of courses that we know are really beneficial to have had coming into it. So things like multivariable calculus, linear matrix algebra, advanced statistics. But we don't require you to have had all of those courses heading into it. I think for anyone interested in the asset management program, and if you are still in school, I would highly recommend trying to maybe take some of that coursework, not for the sake of the application, but because it really is, I think, beneficial to take it in a classroom setting. But We do offer a summer self-study program on this course, on this sort of subject matter, just to make sure that everybody is up to speed by the time they start. And you definitely don't have had any exposure professionally through internships or anything to asset management, or frankly, even to finance beforehand. You just have to have a good reason for wanting to pursue this really specific path.
Thank you.
Other questions? Oh.
Thank you. First, I want to thank you. You two are come to Beijing in person. It's a great opportunity for us to know more about Yale. So really appreciate it. So my question is, so from your admission angle, have anything changed for international students at this moment, especially for Chinese students? Yeah, thank you. This is my first question.
An important one.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, I mean, when I think when Laura was sharing the class profile, you'll see that 41% of our first year students are from outside the US. That's a high number. That's one of our higher numbers. And I think there was, I mean, everybody is aware of some of the challenges facing international students in terms of studying in the US. There were some visa interview pauses this past year. We were unsure how that would play out. But actually, we work in close partnership with our Office of International Students and Scholars, who are fantastic, and they will work with you throughout your time as a Yale student. And we counseled. They helped us counsel students about the best path to get here. We actually, I would say, we actually hired an immigration attorney to work with our incoming students to help them get here to Yale. And it's because we value that international perspective. And so we want to make sure that there's a broad global representation at the School of Management. And so that's why, and I think you might see others, so we're starting to see some other class profiles at other schools coming in much lower. We've never wanted to shy away from having a really global community. For Chinese students, I think we're a little ahead of President Trump here, and in Beijing, he's coming later this week. It's always I have to. I mean, I'm happy to talk more. I have to imagine there's a bit of uncertainty about the relationship, but we at Yale, I mean, we're at the Yale Center Beijing. Behind us is a wall recording the history of Yale in China and the deep relationship between Yale and China, and we very much value that, and we want to continue that, and we welcome. Our community of Chinese students is among our strongest. We were actually, I can't remember, we were talking, we were in Hong Kong earlier this week, that we have a Greater China Board of Advisors for Yale SOM, which is among, I think we met with Brad Huang and others who really care so deeply about the School of Management and want to do what they can to continue its excellence. And so there was a meeting in Hong Kong. We met with a number of the board members, and so we work very closely with our alumni to make sure that Yale SOM continues to kind of attract the sort of strongest candidates across the board, but especially from China.
Yeah, we do feel the Yale do care about international students, especially Chinese students. We feel it every day. From our emails, and we can feel you are warm and welcoming, and really it is heartwarming experience for us. So my follow-up question is, so if Yale have any specific offer cap for Chinese students?
In terms of the class? We don't. No, there's no for any demographic, but including Chinese students. And I apologize for those of you here. You get a lot of emails from me. I'm so sorry for that. But hopefully they're helpful. Hopefully they're helpful as you're thinking about your MBA process. But we do not have any cap, any sort of targets or limitations in terms of the number of students or anything like that.
Okay, thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for the amazing presentation. Thank you very much. And I have 3 questions. First, I want to go in depth with the aging issue because I have over 10 years work experience, and my business field is mechanism, so it's not the mainstream industry for MBA student. So I want to know if there are any preferences for your MBA program. And also, I think my age and years of work experience is out of the the preferred range of your MBA admission. So should I clarify this, clarify my purpose in my personal statement? And finally, because of my a little bit senior work experience, so someone recommended me to apply for the EMBA program. So my concern is regarding the F1 visa. So will the EMBA program sponsor the F1 visa for international student? One more question, sorry. I think everyone here cares a lot about it. Is there any specific personal characteristics for a candidate to apply Yale MBA programs, and what the key key personality Yale Yale MBA programs are looking for? Thank you very much.
Okay, you took the visa question, which is probably the hardest one. So let me try my best to answer sort of your questions. So once again, there really isn't an ideal age for applying to a program. In fact, we talked about our Silver Scholars program, which is official. We have, I think, unofficially speaking, some of our students have put together what they call the Silver Hair Scholars program. And these are for older candidates. I don't know what age you have to be to qualify, but this is more of a social group for people who are coming to school with a little bit more age and experience, or maybe even children, or just different life circumstances. But from an admissions perspective, there really isn't a preference. Like Bruce said, I think it has more to do with just who applies to business school. I think more people apply to business school in that sort of 3 years to 7 year range, because it's a good time to be thinking about a pivot or accelerating. You might be in an industry where an advanced degree is expected to move up. So I don't think it has to do with our preference. I think it has to do with student preference. And so I wouldn't view 10 years as a negative or a liability. I think no matter what age you're at or what stage of your career, we're looking at the same things. What have you been able to accomplish in the roles that you've had? What's the kind of impact that you've had? How have you worked with teams? How have you led others? All of the same sorts of things, no matter where you are in that journey. And then why is now the time to get an MBA? Why are you ready to sort of leave the path that you're on and either accelerate or go in a new direction? And so as a candidate with more years of work experience, we're interested in knowing why, at this stage, are you looking to do something different? So again, I wouldn't look at that as a negative in any way. I think the second thing you sort of mentioned within there was a non-traditional industry. And I love it when a candidate comes to us and says, I have a non-traditional background, because I sort of laugh to myself when I think about the class. I don't even know what a traditional background would be. We have people coming in from so many different areas. We were talking about music before, and I was thinking to myself, I feel like every year we have an opera singer or a ballerina or someone coming from a field that you would never think would make sense as an MBA candidate. So we're really not looking for 1 or even 5 kind of specific types of experience in your background. We're looking for how have you performed in the roles you have had to date, in whatever realm that might be. And that's the way to approach it. And then I think in terms of the EMBA, one thing to keep in mind there is our EMBA program is residential. So that means that every 2 weeks it is in person at Yale. So if you're living in in a geography that's very far away from Yale, you would have to be prepared to travel there every 2 years. And it's a program that's intended for people who are remaining in their current job. So happy to talk maybe offline a little bit more about our EMBA program, but that's handled a little bit differently there. Finally, I think your last question was about sort of ideal characteristics, which you might not be surprised at this point to hear me share. There isn't a specific profile for a candidate that we're looking for. I think Bruce laid out really well before. We're looking for students who are academically, prepared to excel in the program, students who come in with significant professional kind of impact and potential, and then good community members. And you can demonstrate those things through so many different academic backgrounds, so many different industry backgrounds, so many different personal backgrounds. So there really isn't one profile or one set of characteristics or personality that we're looking for. We're looking for, you know, a broad base of experiences in our class, and that comes to us kind of naturally. Even just hearing about some of the backgrounds in this room, you know, obviously lots of different perspectives represented.
I know we're at the hour mark, so I don't know if there's maybe one more question. Happy to do it. Yes, and I don't know if
Stick around.
yeah, we'll be
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
afterwards to talk more informally. Yeah, is there a microphone? Thank you so much. And then we can, again, we can stick around afterwards.
Thank you, Bruce and Lauren, for coming to China. Welcome. And my name is Lian, and actually I'm a applicant in the first round when I already finished my interview.
Oh.
But I just want to come and say hi, and you know, and although I know Laura mentioned, you know, attending events doesn't necessarily boost your chance of admission. I have two questions. Maybe first one for applicants. I guess already finished interviews. Do you have still have any suggestions for us to keep engaging with the community or with Yale SM? The second question is, what would you think maybe the hidden gems? Because you mentioned about international exposure, about leadership, integrated curriculum. What do you think of maybe some of the hidden gems of SOM that you think are meaningful for applicants to know? Could be about the community, could be about New Haven. So thank you. Two questions.
Yeah, happy to start. First of all, congratulations on getting through the interview. So it is a long wait. So I think if you recall the slide, round one decisions go out December 4th. So there's a good bit of time, but we do encourage you to stay engaged. We do have ways to do that. It's great that you're here. Thank you for taking the time to be here. Our student ambassadors are available to connect with you. We will try to, you know, as I mentioned, we were connecting with our alumni, you know, throughout this trip, especially in Hong Kong, but also in Shanghai and here in Beijing. And we would, you know, we'll try to find opportunities to do that as well, to connect you as well. So there are ways to stay engaged with the community, and please do continue to do that while you're waiting to hear from us. Everybody does get a decision on the same day, so it is a little bit of a wait. In terms of the hidden gems, I don't know if you have additional thoughts, but one thing I would point out, kind of building, more in the community vein, and maybe building on what Laurel said about Friendsgiving, there are lots of really, I don't know, called tentpole events that kind of like hold up the community throughout the year. In addition to Friendsgiving, one that happens every Monday throughout the academic year is called Voices. And that's something where it happens in the evening on Mondays. The students get together on campus, and a handful, maybe 3 or 4, will share something meaningful to them. It could be personal, it could be professional. It's closed door, that, you know, it kind of would say what happens in Voices stays in Voices, that doesn't go outside the room. But it's really a way for the community to share about themselves and kind of get to know each other on a deeper level. And I think that's been, to a lot of students, that's one of the more meaningful experiences at the school, and something maybe those from the outside don't know about as well. But I think it's something that really does shape the experience at Yale.
I think I'll add, for me, a hidden gem is actually New Haven. So I grew up in New York City, which, looking around here right now, seems small. No one thinks of New York City as a small city, but relative to Beijing, we were just in Shanghai, it's small. New Haven is much smaller. It is a city still, but it's much smaller scale. But there's so much to do there. There's arts, there's culture, there's 15 minutes away, you can go hiking, you can go to a beach. And the city itself has lots of opportunity. I think New Haven is a great place to put some of your management skills into practice right away. It's a real city with real city benefits and real city problems. And I think it's a good way to orient your 2 years there, to really think about your, you know, membership in the New Haven community as well, and what kind of an impact that you want to leave there. And I think as a student, there's a lot of opportunity to do that.
Great. Thank you both.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Sorry, Jenny. Well, let's, I want to be mindful of time, so we maybe wrap up. Oh, we can. Oh, we have one more.
Okay,
Oh, sure.
so.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. That's
We-
perfect.
we
We can
can
take a few more.
We can take some more and then we can leave a
Yeah.
little bit of time just to speak one-on-one. if
Yeah, yeah.
people would like, yeah.
That's perfect.
Thank you for your time. I'm Jia Tongli. Also, like Lian, I just submitted my MBA's application recently for round one, so I'm so happy. I will just give you a very interesting question, so you can unwind it a little bit. I want to know, such as we applied or maybe what made it by Yale at the beginning of December. So, what's your suggestions for us to before MBA? Because it's just such a long time before the orientation in August. So what is the things that we can do that it will prepare we get into the MBA program? And another question is, we're talking about New Haven. So maybe we want to know, what is your suggestion, 3 most things you have to do in New Haven? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question to think about kind of preparing during that, we're talking about it's a long time until you get a decision in December. It's even longer time before you, would start in orientation. So I think maybe a formal bit of advice is if you are looking to make a career change, there is so much work on recruiting that you'll need to do once you get to school. The more you can begin to prepare yourself for that ahead of school, I think the more it will benefit you. When you are a student or an incoming student, you have the ability to approach people in a way that in your professional life, I think is a little bit harder to do. So, you can reach out to someone who, is a connection of a connection and say, I'm about to head into an MBA program. I'm exploring kind of my next step. Would it be okay for me to take 15 minutes of your time to learn more about your experience? And it's not that you can't do that at other points, but I feel like you have more permission in some ways as a student. So take advantage of that time. If you have another extra 6 months to do informational interviews and just learn more from people who are doing the kinds of work that you'd like to, like I said, I would take advantage of that time to do that. Less formally, I mean, there's a lot of work that you need to prepare to become a student. So if you can do it, I would definitely recommend maybe stopping work not a week before you need to transition. We see lots of people who do that. And then there's, I think you need a little bit of time to really mentally prepare and refresh yourself so that you can start school in August ready to go, because it is very intense once you get there. So it's good to be well rested.
I was going to say sleep is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And there are also, in terms of the informal networking, there are, through our career development office, there will be pre-MBA internships and kind of experiences you can get that you can apply for. Companies will have some of these experiences leading into the MBA program.
Well, even just working with the CDO, actually, I think their work with our incoming students starts in June. So you'll already start attending sessions and putting your resume in the best format and things like that.
And the 3 things.
Yeah.
About I mean, the first one's going to be pizza.
Of course, yes. So New Haven's very, very well known for pizza. It is, I think a sign went up recently on the highway that says the pizza capital of America. I don't know who decides this, but it's really excellent. Very specific style of pizza. So that's got to be part of the list.
I think that was meant kind of as a dig on New York. New York feels very much like it's very strong in the pizza realm. And
so I think New Haven's even better though.
So others? So for New Haven specific, because I would say one thing that I 2 other things I would say would be, in terms of exploring, New Haven is on the shore. It's on the Long Island Sound. So it's not like California beaches, but it's nice. It's very, there are some very nice towns on both directions going either way, with very sort of pleasant sort of coastal sort of vibes, as it were. So it's really, I think, exploring, getting out of New Haven if you can a little bit is a nice thing to do with your classmates, or just kind of explore. And then the other thing is going, Laura mentioned hiking. If you go just a little bit north, that's where the Berkshires and the mountains, and then sort of the sort of the Green Mountains of New England. There, in the winter there is a ski and snowboard club, but even before that, it's fun to explore a little bit north as well. So it's a little bit out of New Haven, but I think those are really areas that students don't always take advantage of, and it's not something you do all the time, but just to kind of get a sense of the surrounding towns. Sure.
So I just wanted to ask how rigid the sort of Silver Scholars no work experience requirement is. So say if you got like half a year work experience, where if you graduate in the spring, like, yeah, are you still eligible?
Yeah, I have to, it's hard when you work in admissions to know what year it is and because you're always looking 2 years ahead. We're recruiting the class of 2028, is it? So basically the way it works is to be definitively considered a Silver Scholar. You would have had to graduate, I believe, after July 31st of this year. So July 31st, 2025, I believe. If you, so if you're within that window, then you're set. And if not, we'll consider it on a case-by-case basis. We're always going to consider you in the pool where we feel your experience is best suited and where you have the best chance of admission. So beyond that, you can certainly express an interest in the Silver Scholars program, but we'll do it on a case-by-case basis.
And I think one aspect of that is if you go directly from your undergraduate to a one-year graduate program, right? You would be considered for Silver Scholars, or is that?
That is true. So yeah, if you go, just like you said, directly out of undergrad and start a master's program, then that would 1 year master's program, that would also count.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm actually right now working in the pharma industry. And actually, I'm also interested in the joint degree with public health. And I do see at Yale SOM, there are 2 public health joint degree. One is 2 year and one is 3 year. I just want to know the difference between the two and how does this application process for joint degree work?
Yeah.
Thank you.
The obvious, I'm gonna say the difference is a year. The way this, the 3 year, I think, is the longer standing, more traditional, because the way joint degrees typically work is you take the 2 individual programs and you reduce it by a year to do the joint degree. And so that would be, SOM and public health are both 2-year programs, so go from 4 to 3. The 2 year is more recent, and that really involves, I think you do an accelerate, you do a pre-session in the summer before the fall at public health to kind of accelerate it and get you into the 2-year track. And then you start at SOM in the fall. But there is a pre-session that happens for the 2-year at public health. And I don't know if you know more, you're more closer to it, so you might know more about who the different profiles, if there's any difference there.
I think it has, there's trade-offs. So obviously 2 years is quicker in terms of entering your full-time work. It's less tuition to go for 2 years versus 3 years. So there's certainly benefits to that. I think the downside is just how deep you can go in each of those areas. So there's a lot less space to take deep electives because you're doing so for both programs in a more condensed amount of time. The other, I think, big consideration is your summer internships. So doing the 3-year programs gives you an opportunity to do 2 summer internships. So if you really want to do something that's more, purely public health oriented in one summer and maybe a little bit more management oriented in the other, versus in the 2-year program, obviously you have just 1 summer in which to navigate that. So I don't think there's a sort of a good or a bad way to go. It's more based on individual preferences, but that's how I tend to see candidates deciding between one or the other. And in terms of the application process, so with all of our joint degree programs, it's 2 completely separate application processes with the Yale School of Management and then with the partner school. And so you'll receive you'll complete a different application, you'll receive an individual admissions decision for both. We don't make sort of a combined decision that you've been admitted into the joint program. We keep each other aware and coordinated so that if you have to navigate deadlines or anything like that, we can work together, but you can receive separate admissions decisions from each program and choose to just pursue one or the other or pursue them both in combination.
Okay, thank you so much. I just want to add one point because actually at the end of last month, I went to Yale School of Management in person to visit the campus and join the campus visit program. And I have to say the New Haven itself and the surrounding neighborhoods are really amazing. And the building itself looks so modernized and great.
It's great to hear.
Yeah. Your check is in the mail. Thank you very much. Or check.
Hello.
Hi.
So I was reading this brochure and I could see very diverse backgrounds of the class of 2025. And as the other lady mentioned about the age issue, you guys said there is no ideal age for this program, but I was just wondering how the program's mechanism or the curriculum setup to cover such a spectrum of the age or backgrounds difference in order to educate leaders for the whole world, like the silver scholar to the silver hair. That's a very wide range for especially nowadays with all the high tech innovations every year. We could see on social media like professors are so stretching out about like young kids are using all the AIs or tools to complete homework while older guys are old school. So like how's the mechanism around how do you set up the programs to resolve kind of this issue, I guess? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I can weigh in with one perspective, and I'm sure you can add to this as well. I mean, I think having that range is one of the many benefits of having a diverse set of backgrounds in the class, and just the same way having people from different geographies and different industries. I think to your point, people who have been professionals for different amounts of time or who started their professional careers in, pre-AI versus post-AI just bring different perspectives to the class. So I don't see that as sort of a negative or something the school has to work to accommodate, but more just one of the many different balances of perspectives that get brought into the class. In terms of how that's navigated, I mean, one thing that's worth mentioning is there's a little bit of purposeful kind of grouping of students when you come into the program. So there are 5 cohorts, so groups of about 70 or so students that you'll go through the entire core curriculum together. And the group that puts together those cohorts is doing that a little bit intentionally. So looking to have a breadth of different geographies and identities and it probably age is one of the things they look at so that they'll sort of have a balance of different perspectives. So for instance, not all the silver scholars are in a single cohort so that they're distributed throughout. And then within those cohorts, you'll also be put onto a learning team. And the idea of those learning teams is that, again, it's a little bit intentionally bringing together people with different academic backgrounds, different industry backgrounds. So there's probably in those different groups naturally going to be people who are stronger at some things and can use the help of their peers in that group for other things. And so our silver scholars are really strong at being students because they were just students and they bring that academic perspective in and those recent study habits and things like that. And so I think having that perspective in the classroom and in the group is probably beneficial to people who are coming back to school after some amount of time. And then obviously the people coming in with more deep professional experience are able to add more to that aspect of classroom conversation and their own experiences from it could be from a pre-AI professional world or just having, had a chance to advance or manage people a little bit more. So all this to say, I don't think that there's a lot of kind of intentional engineering that needs to be done in that respect. I think having that diversity of experience and perspective and age is just a helpful aspect of learning from others in the classroom.
And just to reinforce one of the things Laurel said, in talking to silver scholars, often there's a concern, I don't have professional experience, I'm not going to be able to contribute. But a lot of times, again, what the silver scholars contribute is their ability to navigate an academic classroom, which a lot of the more experienced students haven't done in a while. And so there is a reciprocity, there is a kind of a give and take. Everybody's contributing something. Even the silver scholars are contributing their academic abilities and their academic kind of understanding to the more experienced students who will contribute their professional experience to the silver scholars and everywhere in between.
Okay, thank you. So per your experience or observations, are older or senior students are gonna struggling like in the class? I'm asking because I've already had 10 years work experience. I'm considering, but like
I don't think it's struggle. I think everyone, the more time that's gone by since you did something, the more you have to refamiliarize yourself with that environment. So it's very individual as well. I don't think universally people who have been out for 10 years will struggle. It's just that it's farther away since the time that you had to sit in a classroom for an hour and a half without getting up and moving around and doing homework and things like that. These aren't things that you can't learn to do again. It's just that it's a little bit further away and it takes just a little bit more remembering what it was like, I think, to be a student.
Thank you.
I don't know if we have any others. I know we've been sitting for a while and listening for a while. I appreciate your patience. Maybe a couple more.
All right, thank you for your sharing and welcome to Beijing. And it's really cold, but I hope you're warm today. And yeah, it's a really valuable conversation today. So I learned from it a lot. So it's 2 questions from me. So the first one is small talk. So what's the favorite coffee shop around the school? Yeah, because I'm a coffee lover.
Yeah.
And the second one is that I'm really interested about impact investing. So what kind of curriculums is really helpful to help me a lot to improve my investing skill or perspective from it? Yeah, thank you.
I could take the coffee one. No, we could both. It's an important question. So coffee, but spelt with a K, is one that's near campus. That's pretty popular. Though I have to say, and I know this is true for you too, we have coffee a lot on campus. There's a cafe actually on the Yale SOM campus, and sometimes I think they should just take part of my paycheck and put it directly into the coffee shop because I'm there pretty much every day. But lots of good coffee, probably for atmosphere. Maybe coffee with a K would be my pick. Do you have a different one?
No, I think that's a good one. I think there's actually, in terms of proximity, maybe even closer is a place called G Cafe, which is really good. And they're very known for their, they have a bakery and their breads are fantastic. So not quite coffee specific. But yeah, I think, and then there are lots of other shops in the area. I would say in terms of impact, also in terms of the weather, I'm looking out onto the Beijing skyline. It's a beautiful day today, but going from Hong Kong to Shanghai to Beijing, each stop we added another layer. So I feel like but it's actually very, very pleasant. It's lovely here. In terms of impact investing, there are obviously specific coursework. There's a course on impact investing, among others, and sort of ESG and investing in other courses. One thing that you might already know about, but if you don't, the Mang Impact Fund. So this is a student-run fund that is there's a faculty advisor, so it is actually investing SOM funds. So you can be one of these students who actually does or manages the Mang Investment Fund, which is the student-run investment fund at SOM. So that's a great experiential opportunity that exists in addition to impact investing and the other funds. I don't know if you have any thoughts on other courses that might be relevant.
I mean, there's the asset management program as well, which you're certainly welcome to get a little bit more of a deep dive if you stick around for later. But I mean, through that, there, you know, one of the electives there is ESG investing. And I'd say the investment management club as well is one of our student-led clubs specifically focused on the area of investments. And I would imagine there's an impact interested kind of component of that group as well.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We should probably wrap, right? And but we'd be happy to stay around and chat for a little bit. For anyone who joined a little bit late, I'll just make one more plug. If you do want to learn more about the Masters in Asset Management program, we'll be doing a separate event from 4 to 5. So you're welcome to stick around for that. But otherwise, thank you so much for being here and for being so welcoming. It's really been wonderful. And thank you again to the Yale Center Beijing.
Thank you all.
I just did, yeah.
So much.
No, I think it was a great session, like a lot of the answers that actually reminds me of. It's fantastic. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, sure. Please go ahead. The time is up. So I have a question regarding the game program, F1 visa.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna make a note. 'Cause I don't remember. I wonder if I had it down as a front and like not in Beijing or a different city here. So let me see. Yeah, sorry. Yes, please continue. Sorry about that.
Do you sponsor F1 with an MBA student?
But sorry, the AMBA student?
MBA student F1, do you sponsor an F1 with?
Oh, yes. So I should connect you with our AMBA team because we work in the full-time MBA. I do know that there are executive MBA students from outside the US. So it is a lot so as Laura said, the program is every other weekend in New Haven. So you do have to travel to New Haven. That can make it challenging. People do come from quite a distance. So let me, if you could remind me, just share, email me and ask, and I'll put you in touch with our executive MBA program because I know that there are students from outside the US. I don't know what those visa situations was for them.
Yeah, because I run my own business.
Yeah.
So that's better for me.
Yes, yeah. So please email me and I'll put you in touch with them.
I will. Thank you.